Hey guys, my name is Amy and I am the Nerdy Urban Gardener. One of the reasons I decided to start this YouTube channel is to hold myself accountable to my gardens. In the past, I've always taken a lot of time and care with putting them together each spring. We have a very small plot of land. It's probably close to a 1/16 of an acre, maybe a little bit more, but possibly not, I can't remember. It's a very small space, so we have to use every square inch as best we can. And that means planning things out every year very well. I've used the square foot method in the past. I've tried a lot of different things, and kind of some have worked and some haven't. And it's always a learning experience. Every year you learn what does well, where it does well, and through all of those years, about 10 years of practicing urban gardening in a very small space, I have learned quite a bit. Unfortunately, in the last 2 years, my gardens have seen a bit of neglect. My husband and I did start our own business about 2 years ago, 2018. And so for anybody out there who does own their own business, you know how much time it takes up of your life. And that meant a little bit of stepping away from the gardens. But we're doing well now, and I have some time, so I am making an attempt at getting back into it. Starting with cleaning up the gardens, because they are chaos right now. I like a little bit of chaos in the garden. I don't like things well manicured, but I do want a little bit of consistency and organization. So obviously at this point it is way too far into the year to do much planning for this year. However, I can still get in a fall crop, and that is exactly what I'm going to do. So I am going to be cleaning up my gardens and starting that, and hopefully I can share some advice with all of you out there as far as urban gardening and how to work with tiny spaces. I am in zone 6B in New England, so we have cold winters, very hot summers, a lot of humidity. I don't have a ton of sun in my yard. I know I'm sitting in the sun right now, but I do have some very large trees in my backyard that take up a lot of the sun for most of the day. So it is challenging trying to decide where things go and making sure everything gets enough sun. So I am really excited to get things cleaned up. I'm excited to get my gardens to a good place again. I'm excited to share with all of you my experience with urban gardening and small space gardening. And I am going to share the whole journey, including the mess that is my garden right now. So I am not going to pretend things are lovely and beautiful in this urban garden of mine. I'm going to just show you guys what I have, and we're going to clean it up, and hopefully next spring, which is a while away, but we'll work on it until then. Hopefully we will be in a much better place. It's going to be beautiful, and I can't wait for that. But I am really excited. I can't wait to just start cleaning. I can't wait to be out here more often in the gardens, and I'm really looking forward to being outside in nature. So I hope you guys all enjoy my channel. I hope you guys all enjoy my gardens, and I hope you guys can take something from it and maybe give something to me, because I'm also hoping that we can start to communicate and I can learn from all of the people out there as much as you can learn from me. So I'm going to start with my boxes, which are here. I put garden boxes in the driveway because, quite honestly, I just ran out of space, and our driveway is really narrow, so our cars don't fit back here anyways. So I figured, why not just make use of the space? Right here in this spot, there used to be a 5th box, but that box has since rotted, so I broke it down and took all the soil out of it and added it to other boxes and pots and such. You can see most of the boxes are in pretty bad condition, starting to fall apart. So I'm going to make use of them for as long as I can, and in the spring my plan will be to break them down and find something else to put here. I have some ideas, but I'm not entirely sure yet, so I'm going to work on that over the winter and plan. In this box here, you can see It's a mess. There's a lot of everything and nothing growing in here. My nasturtiums are my favorite flower. I love nasturtiums so much. I love that you can eat them. I love that they're just beautiful. You can eat the leaves, you can eat the flowers, you can even eat the seeds. I do have some peppers in here. I've got some jalapenos, and back here are some chili peppers mixed in with a whole lot of lemon balm and some random volunteer. I believe these are ground cherries. I'm pretty sure that's what's growing there. I just let them go because at this point I figured, what's the difference? And then a whole lot of weeds. Tobacco, because my husband loves tobacco. Not to smoke, just because it is a pest deterrent. Kind of keeps the bad bugs away. It has a pretty strong scent when it rains and it gets wet. Corydalus seems to have taken over my whole yard, but I love Corydalus. I think it's beautiful. It's a really nice filler, so I tend to leave it wherever it grows. I'll probably pull this out at the end of the year, but I know it'll be back again next year anyways. And I had some volunteer dill come up as well, because volunteer dill grows everywhere, and I love dill, so I'll leave it and I'll harvest the seeds from it. Stepping back, you can see there's grapes just taking over the entire thing. They just are out of control this year. I did not trim my Concord grapes back last year, so they've just taken over. And I know you're saying this is not a grape, but I planted some runner beans as well, which are starting to come in, because I had some extra beans and I didn't want to just let them go to waste, so I just tossed them in there because there are some trellises attached to the boxes that they can grow up. And we love beans. I harvest beans throughout the season. I also save some and let them grow to dry them out and use them in chilies in the winter. In this box, I also have some brassicas that I threw in here before everything just went wild. They are cauliflowers that are not going to do anything because the grapes have taken over all of their sun. So sadly, those brassicas are not going to amount to anything. And then in this last box, you can see there's absolutely nothing because it was completely filled with lemon balm. The lemon balm has taken the place of the mint in the last few years in our yard, and it's just overrun everything. I love lemon balm. It smells amazing. It's one of my favorite things to dry and put in tea. So I do use a lot of that. So I mostly let it grow, but next year I think I will probably have to monitor its growth and maybe trim it back a little. I have a knockout rose here because I do just like having them, and they're easy to take care of. Unfortunately, my knockout rose has been, again, overrun by the grapes and definitely some insects this year. I have some raspberries in here, which I can't really see because they were taken over by this, which is a Rose of Sharon. Rose of Sharon is not my favorite flower, I'm not going to lie. I will definitely be cutting that down. And the squirrels in our neighborhood, we don't have a lot of animal pests, but the squirrels love to throw black walnuts in our yard, and we end up with these black walnut trees all over the place, and I hate them because they just come up in the worst places, and I've got to cut them all down, and they just come back every year once they start to get in there. But that's this area. That's what's going on here. This was kind of like the start of our gardens when we first really decided we wanted to put gardens in here. This used to be those awful prickery bushes. I can't remember the name, Pyra something, with the red berries, and not a fan at all. So we ripped them out, we put in the stone and made a little herb garden here, and slowly but surely added veggies into it. Right now I've got, this is horseradish right here, which if you've ever smelt a horseradish flower, oh my goodness, it's heavenly. Their blossoms are incredible. For now, it's just growing there, and I enjoy its flowers every year. This walkway is not normally like this. You can see it is just overgrown. There's some feverfew, which I did plant years ago, and now it's taken over. Mint and anise. Anise loves this area. All of the grass growing in the cracks. And another bean that somehow ended up on my porch. And I'm just going to let it go, because why not? Over here in the little herb garden, which is not an herb garden anymore, more dill, which I have kind of already pulled all of the little dill seeds off of because it dried out. And then some of them I just let go into the yard. I have kohlrabi here, which is kind of hidden by the marigolds, but I got to pick that one soon because it's definitely ready. Got some tomatoes that I was given by my in-laws next door, just because I didn't even have time to pick up tomatoes this year. I had tried doing some bok choy, but I ended up forgetting about it and letting it go to seed. So that one looks like it might be okay, but we'll see what happens. And somehow some radishes that must have reseeded themselves. You can see the radish seed pods on here. I do love radish seed pods when they are not overgrown. They're crunchy and spicy and delicious. Some calendula and some more dill and some weeds, lots and lots and lots of weeds. So that's all going to be completely cleaned out, and I'm going to have to make a decision on exactly what I want to do with that. Had potatoes growing over here, but kind of neglected them, and unfortunately they just didn't make it. So I've got some really sad looking tomatoes over here. There are some ripe ones on there. There's some that are still ripening. I've got beans behind it on the fence, which I usually always do. And I've got some more brassicas here. So these are all cauliflowers. And then I've got some kale mixed in, which I love to have kale. I usually just pick it by the leaf. That way I can keep it growing. You can see over kind of there, I had some broccoli that I've harvested most of. There's some more right here that has gone to flower. And hello, hops. In the past, I've had a cable that kind of went from this fence up to my second floor. And the hops grew up that, and it grew really nicely. And we redid our porch and had to take that cable down, so the hops had nowhere to go this year. So it just went everywhere, including all the way out onto my patio. And then the last thing I have in this area back here is this is sunchokes, which actually were from that last garden box in the driveway that fell apart. I took the sunchokes out, harvested some of it, and then just threw the rest of it in here, knowing that it is an incredibly aggressive plant, and I'm going to have to do a lot of maintenance to keep it from taking over this whole thing. But I just didn't want to get rid of it, and I didn't have anywhere to put it at that point, so I put it in here for now. So we'll see what happens with that. It's not looking incredibly happy. It's very hot out right now. Today it's 90 degrees or so at least, and sunny right now. So this stuff kind of all pops up and perks up a little bit as the day goes on and the sun kind of passes over this area. But for now, it's not looking super happy, but this is where we're at with the backyard. And this is the front yard. Oh, the front yard. My poor front yard. This year, I kind of just let the sunflowers go. Normally, I try and thin them out. I'll eat the sunflower greens for the sunflower sprouts in salads in the spring and make smoothies and things with them, green drinks. But I kind of just let it all go this year because I knew I wasn't going to have time to do much else. So here we are. The front yard this year is pretty much dedicated to the bees and the little yellow goldfinches, or whatever they're called. They're very pretty fluorescent yellow finches. And so I'm going to have to clean all of this up and weed all of this and just figure out what the heck I'm going to do with it all, because I really don't know right now. So I am going to start cleaning this up very, very soon. So one of my biggest weaknesses is that you don't have the heart to pull things out when they grow. So I end up with a whole lot of stuff growing where it wasn't planned. Especially even flowers. Like I've got these, I don't even remember what they're called now. They're a white flower. But they started out in the back of my garden and just spread everywhere. And they're just Cleome. That's what they're called, Cleome. And they're just everywhere now. So I've just been letting them grow because, you know, the bees again like them, and since other things didn't grow and they did, I've been leaving them. So, but that's a weakness that I have that ends up creating the chaos in my gardens. And some of it's quite beautiful, but some of it unfortunately is just an absolute disaster. And I have to start kind of accepting that I can't keep all plants where they grow, and some things need to be thinned out and some things need to just be ripped out altogether. That's something I'm gonna have to work on next spring for sure, is I can't keep them all. This is a very sad tomato that didn't make it. It just didn't get the sun because of the sunflowers and didn't get the love that it should have gotten. Somebody's house needs a new roof. It's not mine. Like I said, sometimes I just let things grow. I have a problem with getting rid of things. It's worth it sometimes. So what I'll probably do is take that stake from that dead tomato, stake this one up since it seems to be much happier than that other sad tomato was. So here's some of the cleanup that I did in the backyard. You can see there's a lot of space here now. I actually plan on doing some kohlrabi in this space because kohlrabi does great in the fall, likes the cold weather. So I've got some opportunities in this small garden. And I've got this nice big open space over here now. I will probably do some sort of kale maybe. I'm not sure yet. Still have some tomatoes. It's trying. We had a storm, so after I pulled all my stuff out, I got more debris in the garden. So as you can see, the front yard looks way better. I put a lot more time into the front yard because it just needed so much more TLC. There was really big walnut trees back behind that. That's an azalea back there. And I, cleaned everything out of the walkway. So now we can actually walk down the sidewalk without, walking through the brush, which is really nice. Cleaned out most of the garden. Obviously, I left all of the sunflowers because the bees love them. So I love them because I love the bees and I love the birds, and they're happy with it. I left some things in there like this cleome because it's still flowering, and the bees like that too. So I did leave some of the stuff in there. I'm already seeing things that I missed, like some lamb's quarter over there that I've got to rip out. There's some tobacco that was still flowering and leaving seeds, so I left that stuff in there. And then there's some beets, obviously, all right in here, which I really love beets, and I tend to pick them just a couple at a time because I'll eat the greens and I don't want them to go bad, so I don't pick them all at once. And then there are some kohlrabis back there. Kohlrabi does really well in this area, and that's definitely something, like I said, I'm going to plan on planting again because it is a great cold weather crop. So this is the front yard, and I'm pretty happy with how it looks now. Definitely looks way better than it did beforehand, and I don't know what I'm going to plant out here, but I will plant something this fall. So I've gotten most of the yard cleaned up. The front yard I did the most work on because it was just completely overrun. I do spend a lot more time in the backyard because I have 2 dogs and I let them out in the back. So while they're out here nosing around, I do spend some time cleaning and picking at things and planting. So there was a lot more work to be done in the front yard, but that is mostly cleaned up. I have made some space for stuff. Looking forward to doing some fall planting, and I've got some space cleared out back here, cleaned up the garden boxes a little bit so I'll have some space to do some stuff. And I'm now starting to plant because, believe it or not, there is a lot you can plant in the fall. So I will do some planting, and I will definitely do a video on what I plant in my zone and what might work for you guys. So look forward to a video on that. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope that this inspires some of you out there who maybe have been slacking a little on your gardens to start working on them again. And don't feel bad if your gardens are not in good shape. Don't feel bad about it. Just, get that motivation and get yourself back into it, because we all have those slumps, myself included, after 10 years of urban gardening. So it doesn't have to be beautiful. It just has to work for you. And that's the most important thing about urban gardening. It's a lot of work and you have to put the time in, regardless of how small your space is. So thank you guys all for watching this. Please make sure you put some comments in. Let me know if there's anything specific that you would like to talk about or would like me to talk about. And please don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. Thanks, guys.